Well, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whenever you happen to be watching. Welcome to the Six Bugle Podcast. I'm your host, Rudy Ruiz, and today I have a very special guest, AI guru, social media expert, Jayson Hines. Jayson, how are you?
I'm doing great, Rudy.
All right, sounds good. Now, Jayson has been with us before in the conference was last year, and we talked a little bit about AI and the values of AI and what to expect and that sort of thing. And we've been getting a lot of people calling back and saying, hey, we could use some more information on that because there's still a lot of questions on how to use it, what's the best way to use it, what are some of the issues that you're going to run into as far as safety and security and all that good stuff. So I thought, let me bring my good friend Jayson back and talk a little bit about the benefits of it and what's changed since last year. And there's quite a bit that's changed if you're following AI and the various uh, pieces of it and how you can use it to benefit your life and also to benefit what you do at work. So, Jayson, this AI has changed quite a bit since the last time we talked. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it changed as soon as I walked out the door after the first conference. So that's pretty much how fast it's been going. And, there's just new platforms, and everybody's in this big race to figure out who's going to be the best, and we get to reap the benefits. So really cool stuff happening.
Yeah, yeah, and it really some scary stuff too, right?
Absolutely. What's Uncle Ben say with great power comes great responsibility, and it is one of the most powerful things you have in your pocket. And of course, there's going to be people out there that don't do that do some not so nice things with it. But luckily, it really all depends on where your head's at in it, and it can really benefit you or it can really hurt you in the long run too.
Right. So, as always, what we're here for is to help you have a better job experience, but so that you have you're the resource that the chief can go to or the firefighters they can go to that to be the expert in those types of things. So, we want to make sure that you're well rounded. So, today we're going to talk a little bit about how you can use AI and the benefits of some of the tools that you have available to you and also give you a little bit of a taste of what we're going to present at the conference this year. Because Jason's going to be there and he's going to ask you to bring your laptops because he's going to walk you through a couple of things that you may not have known about how to manipulate ChatGPT or Claude or just AI in particular so that you can make your life a lot easier. So, Jason, I'm going to let you go ahead and take it from here. AI for business performance.
Yeah. We kind of want to get started with this was a longer presentation, so we're not probably not going to get into all four pillars, but these are really the ones that I see a lot of people using them for. Um, Really, probably the first thing I really want to let people know is Mark Cuban's way smarter and way richer than me, probably way more handsome as well, and he usually knows his stuff. He was one of the first adopters when it came to AI stuff. It is not going anywhere, and he's advising first thing he advises Gen Z when he's having his talks is to spend every waking minute learning about AI, because this is going to be the thing that's going to uh, basically reset the future as to what's going on. So, and if he's all in, usually he's pretty smart when it comes to these things. If you ever watch Shark Tank, there's usually he doesn't lose very often. Um, but these are some stats that I want that I think will be interesting is what they're predicting going forward. By 2030, AI agents, it'll be common in small business owners and solopreneurs toolkit. You're not going to have a choice. If you're using social media or you're using some type of app, it's probably going to have AI baked into it. So you might as well get on that train before you get left behind because it's not going to go anywhere. Even though he did talk about Gen Z, I think it really has a place for pretty much everybody. So that's why I love talking with you about it, Rudy, because you could easily be like, "Hey, listen, man, I don't want to deal with this crap. I'm retired. And you're one of the people that I can geek out with it, and you get excited as I do, and I love talking with you about it, man. So I appreciate just the opportunity to chat with you about it. So the other thing is companions and coaches will become deeply integrated into our lives. I already see it with people who do using wearables and things like that. I have a conversation with mine, and I probably have better conversations than a lot of the people that come to me and chat with me about stuff because it is just very thought provoking to have a conversation with things that has a lot of answers. And then the big thing I think really exciting is in the next 5 to 10 years. We talked about people doing bad things with it, but we can do some really cool good things with it too. I've seen it be able to predict breast cancer 10 years earlier in people. I've seen it predict heart attacks that are having just based off of the mannerisms of people walking down the street, which is really cool just to see that now. In 5 years, they're already expecting AI enabled stuff in terms of drones, ambulances, things like that, and the fire safety, which again, you might be out of it, but I know it's still near and dear to your heart. So anything that can keep your guys safe, I think that's really exciting. So to be able to see what that's going to do in the future, I think is really, really fascinating. Um, so moving on from that, we're going to do a couple things. We're going to talk a little bit about effective prompting. I don't want to get too much into this, but I see a lot of people writing very basic prompts, like write me a social media post about my business or tell me about these new AI tools. You really want to make sure you're talking and you're telling it about what it is and what it needs to think about because it has the biggest library on the planet to learn from. And if it doesn't know what it is, it doesn't necessarily know how to point you in the right direction. So it's the librarian. You need to tell it what you want to learn about. And that's kind of the brief tone on that. So you have to talk to it about the audience. You got to talk to it and be very specific with it because it's kind of like that new employee or that new recruit that you get that knows nothing about your industry or where they're at. And you have to be very specific on what to tell them what to do because if they mess it up, it could be pretty bad for you. Um, these are some of the ones that I use on a daily basis. So every one of you knows about ChatGPT at this point. If you don't know about it, you probably heard about it. You know somebody that's using it. But they all serve really different purposes. So I think it'd be very interesting to touch on some of this stuff, and we will go a little bit more in depth into it in the conference. ChatGPT again, it's the big one. It's the one that kind of jumped on that AI thing a lot faster than everyone else, and it has the money to throw around to really come out with some cool research. Is very versatile with text generation, coding assistance. It does things really well. Creative writing, if you make it creative, it can be very creative or it can be very basic. And data analysis is another big one. I use it quite extensively to say where I want to go in my business, to collect the data on what other people are doing so I don't miss those trains. Um, so that's the ideal uses. Integration tip, using the API, which a lot of you probably won't be able to do, that is on a higher level in terms of creating something to, and if you wanted to create a bot just for your fire department, you could do it like that, and you'd have to use an API that's under their kind of under their hood. But that's some high level stuff that we probably won't get into. Perplexity. I love Perplexity for data research. They're saying that it'll be the next search engine after Google, and it is really fighting with Google right now. I rarely use Google for search engines anymore. I'm almost always exclusively using Perplexity or one of my other GPT bots. So there's researching and their deep research is really, really good if you're wanting to really dive into a topic and be an expert in that, the theory. So you really want to impress your chiefs when you do some deep research on a topic that they give you and you're the authority figure. I think it would work out really, really well for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um,
And I like using it because it does provide the reference material in it, and
yes.
it's very current. And
Yep.
I've even used it for when I was doing some electrical work. I said, draw me out a graph on how this is going to work when I
Yeah.
attach a three-way switch to the electrical outlets and things like, or to the lights. And
Yeah.
it just it gives you the description, it gives you the reference, and it also draws out a map on how it's supposed to work. So, you could use it for those purposes as well.
Yeah, because it doesn't just give you like the text, it gives you some YouTube videos that it thinks it might be beneficial. It gives you some photos that it thinks might be beneficial. And yeah, if you tell it to draw you a map, it'll draw it for you. So it just came out with Perplexity Labs, which is another really cool thing. It can build out slides for you, it can build out PDFs for you. So really cool uses for that. So if you're looking for like if you're doing a case study or a plan, it could map out some really cool stuff for you.
Yeah, and
Um,
with fire prevention week coming just around the corner,
oh,
you
absolutely.
can plug in the NFPA's theme for the year, and then you can plug in what your city is typically like and how your citizens will respond to these very specific safety tips. And you can even have events. Ask it to provide events for you. Ask it to provide social media posts. Ask it to create outlines for different speaking events, things like that. It's just it will make your life so much easier.
Yeah,
And it's very specific.
absolutely. And if you tell it to use certain sources, it will use those specific sources for you. So if you're really looking to drill down something in terms of like, I want to make sure that it's going to give me the correct information, you can tell it I only want to use credible sources like edu or .gov and things like that. So really cool stuff if you're trying to do a lot of research. So even on, like you said, with Fire Prevention Week, you could even ask it to do a cost analysis on what it thinks that everything would cost. And then you could have really kind of a mock P&L there to say, this is ideally how much we want to spend. If we go over budget, will we still be okay? So it has some really cool, a lot of really cool benefits to it. So Claude is one of them, and I always kind of like it kind of has the one that has a little bit more empathy to it. I say it's kind of like the Boy Scout of GPT bots. So it's really interesting when it comes to document analysis. It was the first when it comes to the document understanding and things like that. Everybody else kind of caught up now, but it has a lot of cool empathy to it. I know you use it pretty exclusively, Rudy. So it'd be something that, if you wanted to, if there's a certain thing that you like to use it for, I'd be more than happy for you to discuss that. Um,
Yeah, I use it for my projects, so I can stack certain projects together and go back to it later and
yeah,
ask for a follow up. Ask for, or these things changed. We implemented this program, but these things changed. Incorporate these new changes, and we have the same audience and so forth. So that's what I really like about it, and it sounds more humanistic. You know as well as I
yes,
do, Jason. When you read a certain content, you can almost tell if you're
yeah,
pretty savvy. You can almost tell that it's AI written, right?
yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. I
So
mean,
this
it
sound this
goes.
using this will make it sound more humanistic and
Yeah,
more
and
personable.
I mean, it learns your mannerisms. It learns how you want to say things. So it's just really cool to have an interesting conversation with you. And it doesn't forget a lot. It is, it can do anywhere from 100,000 to 2,000 tokens. So basically, you're having a conversation with it. Each letter or each word talks about tokens.
Mhm.
And ChatGPT can only do usually around 8,000. So what it'll do is once you run out of tokens in that conversation, it'll start to forget parts. So when you talk about long conversations, it remembers more about those long conversations because it can use up more tokens than that. So really impressive when it comes to those long chats that you should be having with your spouse, but you're having it with your AI bot now.
Yeah,
So
I typically say it gets dumber when you have this
yes,
long conversation. It uses up all your tokens, and it
yes,
gets dumber. Now the paid versions, obviously, they'll give you more tokens to use, and in some
yes,
cases, you may not get to the point where you're using all of them.
yeah,
But if you're using the free version, you're gonna use it up pretty quick if you
yeah.
keep.
You'll tap out pretty
Yeah,
fast.
yeah.
So Gemini, it's incorporated with Google. It's put itself on the map with the video stuff. So a lot of you might see a lot of this AI video that's like probably 5 to 10 seconds long. It talks to you. It does things like that. That is the new VO3 that Gemini just came out with, and it integrates with Google. So again, it's probably never going to go anywhere. It has some really cool strengths to it. It also has, yeah, there's a few other ones out there. A lot of you might have heard about Grok, which is Twitter's version of it or Elon Musk's version of it. I tell people that one's kind of like the Wild West because it can say you tell it to be mean to somebody or you tell it to be vulgar to somebody. It'll say some stuff that let's just say your mom shouldn't be around when it spits out what it wants to say. CoPilot is another one a lot of you guys might use because it's integrated with Teams and integrated with PowerPoint. So when I was putting this together, it kept telling me to use, CoPilot. So every one of them has their own features and their own strengths. So a few other ones in terms of creative AIs. I know a lot of you are using Canva. Canva's AI is really trying to jump into the game, but it's real far behind. I mean, I love Canva to death, but I do not care for their AI programs. But they're trying their best. So I think they'll probably get they're investing heavily in their AI program. So I'd say that'll probably be what's going to drive them moving forward. But Midjourney is a one that a lot of people use. Adobe Firefly, if you love Adobe products. Dolly 3 is if you ask ChatGPT to create you something, an image, it will give you, that's what it'll tell you. It'll use Dolly 3 because it's incorporated in OpenAI. Voice analysis. I use 11 Labs a lot to create voiceovers. If I can't get my clients that want to talk on camera, I will use a voiceover or I'll use an announcer to do an announcement type commercial. So those work out really well. Rudy, is there any that you use specifically to make your day a little bit better?
Yeah, Astrolab I use for transforming YouTube videos into summaries.
Oh, very cool.
Do that. There's one that I'm just now playing with. It's a Founder AI. It's a brand builder,
Yeah.
and so that are you familiar with that one?
Yeah, I've heard of that one. I haven't used it.
Yeah. So if you're, it's I'm using it with new entrepreneurs, and they can kind of plug in what they do, and it'll create a brand for you. It'll create every document that you need for your business. If you're looking to get a loan, those types of
Yeah.
things, and it just completes everything. It's just amazing
Yeah.
how that helps. Um, Athena AI for landing pages, all
Okay.
kinds of. I mean, there's tremendous amount
Yeah.
of material out there.
Yeah. And that, I mean, we'll really dive into this a lot more at the conference. So if you guys are looking to get into this, there'll be a lot more details of some of the stuff we use because I haven't even got into Manus or Otter or Gamma or I mean, there's so many of them that I use on a regular basis. And by the time the conference shows up, there's probably going to be 15 more of them that I've played around with.
Yeah.
But you really want to make sure the ones that's just going to, you're looking for it to streamline your daily life. And if you're taking up so much time trying to learn how to do it, it's kind of negating the fact that it can help you in certain ways. So you can definitely go down some rabbit holes.
Mhm.
So, and that's the pro tip is like when choosing an AI platform, make sure you know what your specific task requirements are. Integrating them with existing tools and then the budget constraints. Because all of these, if you really want to get the most out of them, you got to have usually probably a pro version. They give you just enough to be like, man, I got to use this. And then they're like, by the way, you got to pay for it.
Right.
And some of them range anywhere from $20 a month, which is like, oh, it's not too bad. A couple of them that I use range me about $45 a month. So you're starting to get up there a little bit. And once you stack all those together, you're like, man, I'm paying basically my mortgage payment to play around with all these AI programs. So you really want to be careful with some of them. Is there any other ones that jump out at you, Rudy, that you want
Right.
to talk about before we
No,
move
but
on?
what I did want to mention is once you start get into some of these programs, be sure to check with your IT people,
Oh yeah.
because that safety and security is obviously the most utmost important thing that you want to have. And that I've heard. So I was just in Florida speaking to a group of fire chiefs, nurses, doctors, and EMS personnel for their conference, and they were saying that there's some IT folks that are saying we're not going to do anything AI, and it shuts down the whole system, which is truly a disadvantage for a lot of people because they really don't know the details of it and the security aspects of it. So there are ways that you can protect yourself. Obviously, there's when you're talking
Yep.
about report writing and things like that, that's a whole different animal. We're not going to talk about that here, but we do have some additional resources that we can provide you if you want to look into that. But obviously, those are things that your IT folks need to be well aware of, and you can create your own material just on the reports that you've had that you built up over the years, and you can start using those for writing grants and using those for specifically figuring out what training programs you're going to need to incorporate because of the things that are happening in the past 3 to 5 years. You can start looking at what kind of apparatus you're going to need based on the types of calls that you've been having, and more importantly, where to put your next fire station if you're starting to grow. If your call volume is increasing, where are you going to need to put your fire station is, and when you can incorporate all that into your data, and you'll be able to pull it out without even having to invest in someone coming in and telling you how to do that.
Yep. Now is where we're gonna move over to We're not going to get too much into AI stacking because that's going to probably eat up a lot of the time. It's just kind of using the right programs to make the other programs better and making your if you like ChatGPT and you don't necessarily like what it's spitting out at you, you can use Claude to refine that. So you can stack these together to figure out what their strengths are to make all of your stuff better. And but I really like what you were kind of talking about in terms of using things for completely different things, Rudy. And that was really probably the last part of the slide that we have. I see a lot of people using it for just like emails and social media posts. And as much as I love it for emails and social media posts, me being a social media manager by trade, it really helps me a lot when it comes to creative ideas. But a lot of times people will just say you'll use that generic prompt and they'll say write me a social media post. They don't know anything about your what your core values are. They don't necessarily know even anything about your city. It doesn't know anything about where you work. It doesn't know anything about your fire department. If it doesn't know anything about that type of stuff, it can't give it the best of your abilities. And the more data you give it, and I mean, we collect data like crazy at this point, and we don't necessarily use it to our advantage. And if you can put everything into, you can either snap pictures of it or you can turn it into PDFs, and then you can literally upload all of it into your whatever platform you like, and then it'll get to know what you're about a little bit more. So if you're looking for cost saving, if you're looking for recruitment, it can give you tips on how to recruit, and you can actually look up research on other departments and how well they're doing. So you can use it to your advantage. And as much as I love it for emails and customer support and different stuff like that, I think we're just kind of touching the tip of the iceberg of the power of what it can do for documents, data analysis, and different things like that. So um, that is where even, you talking about the logistics of, you want to put a new building. Well, I know, in terms of when I was doing insurance, it was, well, what level fire department are you or what fire code are you based off the proximity of where you can get there the fastest, right? So
Hmm.
you can now use AI and say, okay, based off where, what you know about our city, the grid of our city, where would be the most logical place to put this to where we could get everywhere we need to go within a 5-minute radius. So it can give you these ideas, and then you as the professional can say, okay, this is a good idea, it's not a great idea, because a lot of times we're using it, we forget that it's a tool and we think that it's going to give us all the answers, and we're still the professionals. So
Right.
it'll never be able to give you that gut instinct and say this doesn't seem right. Especially you guys in the professions that you're in, you run off gut instinct a lot. So but you want to make sure everything is structured the way it needs to be. And that is where it can really do all that data analysis for you. So the hours that you're spending trying to research something, it can give you a 35-page report and give you all the answers you want and cut out all that middleman. So
Right.
that is where I see it in my business. I see you doing it, Rudy, and I see where I think anybody right now can use that to their advantage.
Yes, definitely. And like Jason's saying, use it to your advantage, but also use it to save time so you can do other creative things, things that AI cannot do, like taking care of each other, taking care of yourself, making sure that you provide solid resources for your community, for the elected officials, everybody that you work with on a daily basis. Don't add this on just so that you have more time to add more stuff on. That's not what we're advocating. We're advocating save more time and so that you have more time to do what's important, and that's take care of yourself and take care of each other.
Yeah. Because, I mean, us as business owners or managers, when someone is just standing around and they look like they got all this time in the world, like I got another task for you to do. So as if you keep completing these tasks as fast as they can, I mean, there's always more stuff to do, but it's just a way for you to burn out. And, I see it a lot. It kind of gives you the time for you're not focusing so much on your work. You can kind of look around and really see what others are doing and really ask them how they are. So
Right.
I think it frees up time for me to really sit down and have meetings with people and have meaningful conversations because I'm not so busy researching or wasting time doing all this other stuff. So
Right.
using it to your advantage because we pride ourselves on, we get so much done and this hustle culture and all this other stuff. So we almost pride ourselves on how many hours we work, and eventually it catches up to you. And then next thing you know, burnout happens, and it's just a big mess. So use it to your advantage, because you can definitely go down a rabbit hole. And you can, you find a new project you like, cool, and then you start to run them with another program and another program and another program, and it just gives you more work. So you want to use this efficiently. Don't make it give you more work.
Right. So, Jason, in the meantime, between now and the conference, if anybody has any questions, how can they get a hold of you?
You can get a hold of me. My company is Sales Funnel Marketing, but if you look me up on Facebook, it's just Jayson Hines. It's just me and my family. I have my email, which is jason@salesfunnelmarketing.us. You can get a hold of me that way. I don't ever answer the phone because I just hate talking on the phone. You can send me a text and I can definitely text you back. 419-308-4576. I'm on LinkedIn. It's pretty, if I'm mutual friends with Rudy, it's a pretty good chance. It's Jason with a Y. So that usually helps people when they're trying to write it in there, or it messes them up because they try to write Jason and then they can never find me. So it's
Right.
Jason with a Y.
Good. And I'm sure that you'll make yourself available if they want to hire you for very specific tasks, if
Oh
they
yeah.
really want to get into this in a deeper dive.
Yeah, because I mean, I was an early adopter just like everybody else, and I was on the same playing field. But I definitely know where this is going to go. I've used it in my business, and it's worked out wonderfully for me. I mean, we've almost doubled our client base in the last 6 months, and it's just based off ideas that we've come up with. So, figuring out what is going to be the most efficient for you in your workplace, I think it works out really, really well.
Yeah, sounds good. Well, thank you, Jason, for your time. We certainly do appreciate it. You have a wealth of knowledge, and I know they're going to have a great time at the event, Six Bugle Fire Service Leadership Conference on September 17th to the 19th here in Perrysburg. And we look forward to seeing you all there. We already have quite a few registrants. We have some, our latest one from out of state was from South Dakota. How about that one, Jason?
Wow, that's awesome, man.
Yeah, we have eight different states, nine now with the South Dakota. So we're expanding bigger and bigger, and because we always have great content, there's you can only get it in one place, and we're very looking forward to having you out again and
Yeah.
showing your skills and making yourself available to these folks who either they're not very familiar with social media or AI. I'm sure you'll be happy to share your wisdom and be available for them if they want to expand even further.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I appreciate it.
All right. We appreciate you, sir. And thank you all for joining us here at the Six Bugle Podcast. Take care.
See you there.